Broken glass and rain. When she stood on the broken glass, even her feet didn't bleed. Rain was washing the city's dirty cobblestones, neon lights dancing on shattered surfaces. Bernadette stood frozen in front of the window on the fourth floor of the apartment building, holding a wedding cake catalog decorated with pink ribbons. Inside, in the bedroom, her fiancé's voice, hushed, excited, familiar, seemed to belong to someone else, and that voice merged with a woman's laughter, a familiar laugh, her stepsister, Claire's laugh. The city was silent that night, or that's how Bernadette felt. Cars were passing, but their sounds came from far away, as if she were underwater. Rain clung to her hair, trickling down her neckline, running all the way to her waist. But she couldn't move. Her feet were nailed to the concrete. Her eyes were locked on the shadows dancing behind that window. Marcus's shadow, Claire's shadow. The two had become one. Bernadette's world didn't go silent in that moment. On the contrary, everything exploded with deafening volume. Heartbeats, the sound of rain, the trembling of the window pane, her own breath knotting in her throat. Her hands trembled. The wedding catalog fell to the ground. Pages opened, pink patterns dissolving in the rain. She turned around, didn't set foot inside, silently descended the stairs. No one noticed. No one saw her. Only the rain chased her back. When she stopped in front of the apartment building, she realized she had forgotten to breathe. Her chest hurt, as if something inside her had broken. Not a bone, something deeper. Maybe her heart, maybe her soul. It didn't matter anymore. She had parked her bicycle in front of the building. Old, rusty, the only thing left from her father. The metallic blue paint had peeled off, but it still worked. Her father had given it to her when she was 10 years old. "One day this bicycle will set you free," he had said. She hadn't understood what he meant back then. Now she did. Freedom was escape. Freedom was leaving things behind. Freedom was not holding on to anything. She jumped on it, pedaled. Rain was blinding her eyes, or was it tears? She couldn't tell anymore. Neon lights, cars, people, shops, everything became a blurry stain. She just pedaled, faster, deeper. She reached the city's main avenue. Traffic lights were flashing, red, green, yellow, but Bernadette wasn't looking. She just looked ahead, toward nowhere. She didn't stop at the red light. The sound of brakes, metal screeching, a scream. Maybe it was her own scream, maybe someone else's. Then darkness. Long, deep, endless darkness. When she woke up, she noticed the ceiling wasn't white. A gray concrete ceiling with old wooden beams on it, a bulb hanging in the corner. There was no antiseptic smell in the room. Instead, coffee, paper, and a bit of cigarette smoke. Bernadette tried to lift her head, but the cut on her forehead hurt. She raised her hand. It was bandaged. A good job had been done. Not professional, but careful enough. The room's walls were bare. An old rug, a table, a chair, a bed. It wasn't minimalist. It was just empty, as if this was a transitional place, a place where nobody stayed long. Light was seeping through the window, but the curtains were closed. She couldn't tell if it was day or night. A man was sitting at the desk in the corner of the room. He was looking at a computer screen. Glasses, dark hair, 2 days' worth of stubble on his face. He wore a gray sweater, old jeans. He had picked up a cup, but wasn't drinking. He was just holding it. When he noticed Bernadette moving, he turned his head. "You're awake," he said. His voice was flat. There was neither joy nor surprise, as if he woke up strangers in his bed every day. Bernadette looked at him. She didn't recognize him. There were no familiar features on his face, but there was something in his eyes, a weariness, deep, chronic weariness, as if he hadn't slept in years. "Where am I?" Her voice was hoarse, her throat was dry. "Somewhere safe." That's not an answer. "In my apartment, on the south side of the city, where nobody can find you." Bernadette tried to get up from the bed, but her head spun. The room began to rotate around her. Nausea came. Elias immediately stood up, came to her side, held her. Bernadette instinctively pulled back. "Don't touch me," she said in a harsh voice. Elias pulled back. He raised his hands in the air, silently stepped backward. "Okay, I just don't want you to fall." Bernadette scrutinized him. His eyes were sharp, cold, but also tired, very tired, as if he had reached the end of his life. He didn't look threatening, but Bernadette couldn't trust anyone anymore. Marcus didn't look threatening either. He was warm, friendly, kind. Where was he now? In Claire's bed. "What's your name?" asked Bernadette, her voice slightly softer.
The man hesitated, as if saying his name had a cost, as if his name would turn out to be a secret. "Elias." "Elias what?" "Just Elias. Does the last name matter?" "No, I guess not." Bernadette slowly lowered her feet to the floor. The cold floor touched her bare feet. Where were her shoes? She didn't remember. She didn't remember anything after falling from the bicycle, just darkness and pain. Then this ceiling. "How long have I been here?" 2 days. 2 days? Bernadette was surprised. 2 days. She had been missing from the world for 2 days. Was Marcus looking for her? Was Claire looking for her? Her mother? Elias turned to the desk, picked up a cell phone. Bernadette's cell phone. The screen was cracked, but it worked. "Your phone died. I charged it but didn't turn it on. You can turn it on if you want." Bernadette looked at the phone. She didn't want to turn it on. She knew that if she turned it on, the world would come back. Lies, betrayal, pain, everything would come back. But she knew she had to turn it on. She reached out, took it in her hand. It was cold. She pressed. The screen vibrated. 37 calls, 23 messages, all from her mother, Vivian. A few from Marcus, one from Claire. She opened Claire's message. "Bernie, please listen to me. This isn't what you think. Marcus and it was a mistake. Forgive me, please. I need to talk to you." Bernadette threw the phone onto the bed. She wanted to laugh, but cried instead. Silently, without sobbing, tears slid down her cheeks. Elias wasn't looking at her. He had turned to the screen. He was a good listener. Or maybe he wasn't listening, just standing there. But that's what Bernadette needed. Someone who just stood there, silently.
Hours passed, maybe days. Time blurred in this gray room. Elias would sometimes go out, bring food. Soup, bread, sometimes fruit. Bernadette wouldn't eat, just looked. Elias didn't force her. He just left the plate and went. He didn't talk, didn't ask questions. He was just there. On the 3rd day, maybe the 4th, Bernadette wasn't sure anymore. She finally spoke. "Why are you helping me?" Elias didn't take his eyes off the screen. His fingers were dancing on the keyboard. He seemed to be writing code or researching something. Bernadette didn't know. "I don't know. Maybe I'm not people." Bernadette looked at him. He was serious or joking. She couldn't tell. Elias's face was a mask. It gave nothing away. No clue, no emotion, no intention. "Who are you?" asked Bernadette, this time with real curiosity in her voice. Elias closed the keyboard, turned around, took off his glasses. His eyes were tired but sharp, as if he could see everything, know everything. "Someone." "That's not an answer. You didn't ask me the same question either." He was right. Bernadette hadn't even said her own name, but Elias already knew. The phone had rung. He had seen Vivienne, Mom, on the screen. Maybe he had researched online. Bernadette's face was on Lackland Corporation's website. There were news headlines, "Young CEO takes over father's legacy." There were photos, there were interviews. "Bernadette," Elias said softly. There was a gentle tone in his voice. "Heir to Lackland Corporation, took over the company after her father died, but her mother remarried, stepsister Claire, fiancé Marcus, and now you're here, in my old apartment, looking at my computer and wondering who I am." Bernadette's heart stopped. Her breath caught. "You were watching me." "No, I knew you." "How?" Elias stood up, walked to the window, opened the curtain slightly. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet. Neon lights reflected in puddles. The city was breathing, never stopping. "Because my father worked with your father."
Bernadette froze. "What?" "My father was a financial advisor at Lackling Corporation. He worked there 17 years. He was loyal, honest. Your father trusted him. But when your father died, his wife, Vivian, changed everything. Set up new management, cleaned out the old people. My father was one of them. Fired without cause. One signature, one day later, my father committed suicide." Silence. Deep, heavy, suffocating silence. Bernadette couldn't breathe. Words were knotted in her throat. Elias was still looking at the window. His back was turned. His shoulders were tense, his neck muscular, as if he was carrying weight. "I didn't know," Bernadette finally said. Her voice was broken. "You wouldn't have known. You were 18 then. You were in college. Your mother kept you away. From the company, from the business world, from the truth. She was protecting you, or manipulating you. What's the difference between the two?" Elias turned. His eyes were not hatred, just weariness. Deep, grinding weariness. "So, yes, I know you, but I saved you, because you're not like them." On the 5th day, Bernadette stood up. Her legs were trembling, but she walked. Elias wasn't looking at her. On his screen were complex charts, Excel files, names, numbers. Bernadette approached, looked at the screen, saw Lackland Corporation's financial records, secret accounts, transfer records, offshore companies, share transfer documents. "Are you an accountant?" "No, I'm a ghost hunter." Bernadette frowned. She didn't understand. Elias turned. His eyes were serious. "People leave digital traces. Every transaction, every transfer, every signature leaves a trace. I collect those traces. When companies break the law, they try to hide it, but they can't hide it completely. There's always a hole left. I find those holes." "Why?" "Because justice doesn't come from courts. Courts protect money. I protect truth." Bernadette looked at him. This man was a strange mix, both cold and warm, both distant and close, both dangerous and safe. "Will you show me what you found?" Elias hesitated, then turned the screen. Bernadette looked, read, understood, and felt sick. "Your mother isn't trying to eliminate you to take over the company, because she already has it. Your signature is there. Your name is there, but the company isn't yours anymore. Financial records, share transfer documents, all fake. Claire's fiancé, Marcus, is actually a financial consultant, not just for you, for your mother. He was going to marry you, then you'd transfer all the shares. The prenuptial documents you signed were actually share transfer documents. Your lawyer was your mother's man, your notary was your mother's man. Everything was theater, and you were the lead actress. Since you disappeared after the accident, they're now preparing to declare you dead. In a week, the court order will come out. You'll be declared dead. Vivian will get the inheritance, and the company will be completely hers." Bernadette's knees gave out. She collapsed to the floor. Elias reached out to help her, but this time Bernadette didn't pull back. She held on tight, because she was falling, because nothing was real, because her life was a lie. How do you know this?" she whispered. "Because I've been researching everything for years, not for my father's revenge, just to know the truth. And your file didn't come to me randomly. I followed you, your movements, your meetings, your fiancé's background, everything, and everything pointed to fraud." Bernadette raised her head. Her eyes were teary, but something was burning inside. Not anger, determination. "Will you help me?" Elias hesitated. Something changed in his eyes. A softening. Maybe pity, maybe hope, maybe just a moment of humanity. "I already am." On the 6th day, Bernadette started planning.
Elias showed her everything: Vivian's offshore accounts, Marcus's fake identity, the sudden increase in Claire's bank account, the fake audit reports. It was all there, but it wasn't enough in court. Evidence was digital, but lawyers could easily discredit digital evidence. A real confession was needed, or a trap. You need to show yourself to them. Are you crazy? Bernadette was shocked.
No, I'm thinking strategically. If you show up, their plans fall apart. They'll panic, and people in panic make mistakes. Vivian will think she can control you, but you can't be controlled anymore because you know the truth. Bernadette looked at the window. The city was breathing below like a giant monster. Lights were flashing, cars were passing, people were walking. Life was going on, but Bernadette's life had stopped, or was about to restart. I don't want to see Marcus. You don't have to. You'll just see your mother, and you'll say one thing to her. I know. That's it? That's it. Words are sometimes more powerful than weapons. If Vivian learns that you know, she'll descend into chaos, and chaos reveals everything. Bernadette thought. It was a risky plan, but she had no other choice. She could disappear, but the company would stay in her mother's hands, her father's legacy would be lost, or she could return and fight. How will I get in? The building has security. Security knows you. You're still the CEO. You're not officially dead. Not yet. You'll go in, you'll see your mother, you'll say it, you'll leave. What if they hold me? They won't, because you being dead benefits them more. Killing you is risk, but declaring you dead is legal and safe. Bernadette smiled, for the first time. It was a strange, broken smile. You really are a ghost hunter. Elias smiled back, also for the first time, just for a moment. Then his face returned to the mask. On the 8th day, Bernadette got ready. Elias gave her clean clothes. She didn't know where he found them, didn't ask. Black pants, white shirt, thin jacket. Simple but professional. She pulled her hair back, removed the bandage from her face. The cut had healed but left a scar. She didn't care. Scars were maps of the past. Elias gave her a small device, not a phone, a recording device. Carry this on you, in the inside pocket of your jacket. Whatever Vivian says, record it, then bring it to me.
Isn't that illegal? Yes, but justice sometimes requires illegality. Bernadette took the device. It was light, but it was heavy, because it could change everything. On the 9th day, Bernadette went to the city center. Elias dropped her off in an old car, gray, inconspicuous, ordinary. As Bernadette got out of the car, she looked at Elias. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. She was genuinely curious. Elias thought, was silent for a long moment, then spoke. "Because when my father died, there was no one to help him. Maybe you can be different." Bernadette nodded, got out of the car, closed the door. Elias drove away, disappeared into the crowd, and Bernadette was alone, but this time it was a different kind of alone, a powerful kind of alone. On the 10th day, Bernadette stood in front of Lachlan Corporation's headquarters building, a structure of glass and steel reaching toward the sky. Her father had built this building 20 years ago. People should be able to look at the sky when they work here, he had said, because dreams are in the sky. Now, this building was like a prison, cold, gloomy, suffocating. When she entered, the security guard in the lobby recognized her. His eyes widened. He said something into his radio. Bernadette hesitated, but didn't stop. She walked. The security guard shouted after her, but Bernadette didn't listen. She walked to the elevator. Nobody stopped her, because nobody knew what to do with her, because Bernadette was a ghost. 23rd floor, her mother's office. The door was open. Voices came from inside. Vivian's voice, Claire's voice, Marcus's voice. They were all talking, discussing plans. Bernadette stood at the door, took a breath, got ready. She went in. Vivian was sitting at her desk, elegant, cold, perfect. Her pearl necklace glittered in the light. Her hair was pulled back. Her makeup was flawless. Her hands were on the desk, fingers interlaced. Next to her, Claire looked with frightened eyes. Her face was pale. Her lips trembled. Marcus, in the corner, arms crossed, was sizing up Bernadette. There was a smile on his face, a small, arrogant smile.
Vivian slowly stood up. There was shock on her face, but she quickly hid it, put on the mask, the warm mother mask. Bernadette. Her voice was soft, but her eyes weren't. Bernadette took a step, came to the middle of the room, didn't look at anyone, just looked at her mother. I know. Vivian's face didn't change, but there was a tremor in her eyes, small, but Bernadette saw it. What do you know, sweetheart? Her voice was still soft, but there was tension underneath. Everything. The fake documents, Marcus's real identity, the money in Claire's account, the offshore companies, the court plan, everything. Silence. Claire wanted to say something, but Marcus silenced her. He reached out, touched her arm. Claire went silent. Vivian laughed, a cold, sharp laugh. The room filled with that sound. Do you have proof? Bernadette smiled, for the first time, a real smile, not a victory smile, a peace smile. No, but you think I do, and that's enough. Vivian's face darkened, her mask cracked. The warm mother disappeared, the cold businesswoman emerged. You haven't understood anything, Bernadette. This world isn't for the weak. Your father was weak, emotional. He let the company die. I saved it. I strengthened it. And you were going down his path. I saved you, too. You destroyed me. Bernadette's voice was calm but hard. No, I taught you the truth, but you didn't learn. You're still a child. You're still living in your dreams, but dreams aren't real. At that moment, Elias entered. He had a folder in his hand, thick, heavy, full. Security camera footage, transfer documents, emails, signatures. It was all there, real, tangible evidence. But actually, it exists, Elias said calmly. His voice was flat but powerful. Vivian turned to him, her eyes narrowed. Who are you?
The son of a former financial advisor. Remember? The man you fired? The man who committed suicide? Vivian's face changed. She understood. Panic flashed in her eyes, but she quickly recovered. Your evidence is illegal, invalid in court. But valid in public opinion. The media loves this story. Rich mother defrauds her daughter. Classic. Marcus stepped forward. His voice was harsh. Is this a threat? No, this is the truth. Claire started crying, silently, sobbing. Vivian looked at her, with anger. Claire went silent. The court process lasted 3 months. Vivian and Marcus were arrested. Evidence poured out piece by piece. Elias had archived everything digitally. Backups were stored on 3 different servers. Vivian used her lawyers, hired the best ones, but the truth was too powerful. The media made it a cover story. Headlines read, Lachlan Corporation's scandal. Bernadette didn't give interviews. She just came to court silently, testified, left. Claire testified, showed remorse, cried. Lawyers tried to show she was manipulated. They partially succeeded. Claire wasn't punished, but Bernadette didn't forgive her. On the last day of court, Claire approached. Bernie, please, let's talk. Bernadette looked at her. There was no hatred in her eyes, just emptiness. We don't have anything to talk about anymore, Claire. Claire cried. Bernadette turned, walked, didn't look back. After the trial ended, Bernadette returned to the company, sat in the CEO chair, but didn't feel it. It felt empty. Her father's legacy had been saved, but it no longer carried meaning. She attended meetings, made decisions, read reports, but inside she was empty. 3 months later, she made a decision. She would sell the company, all of it. A German holding made an offer, a high price. Bernadette accepted, signed the papers, put the pieces together, gave severance to her employees. Some stayed, some left.
She got her money, a large amount, but she didn't know what to do with it. One day, she called Elias, for the first time since the trial. Where are you? She asked.
At the apartment, same as always. Can I come? Yes. Elias met her at the door. He looked the same. Glasses, tired, quiet. Bernadette entered. The room hadn't changed. Same desk, same computer, same bulb. Coffee? Elias asked. Yes, please. Elias went to the kitchen. Bernadette walked to the window, looked outside. The city was still breathing, still living. Elias returned with coffee. They both drank silently. I sold the company, Bernadette finally said. I know. I saw it on the news. I don't know what to do. Nobody does. Bernadette smiled. It was a strange smile. Come with me, she said. Elias looked at her. He was surprised, for the first time. Something flickered in his eyes. Where? I don't know, but let's not be alone. Elias thought. There was a long silence, then he nodded. Okay. Years later, Bernadette opened a cafe in a small coastal town. It was close to the sea. In the mornings, seagull sounds could be heard. In the evenings, the sunset painted the sky orange. Elias sold books in the back room. Old, rare books. People would come, drink coffee, look at books. They would talk. They would laugh. Bernadette would watch them. Happiness came from simple things. One morning, while Bernadette was looking out the window, she saw a young girl arrive on a bicycle. Metallic blue, paint peeling. The girl parked the bicycle, entered the cafe. Bernadette smiled at her. What would you like? A coffee, black. Bernadette prepared the coffee, gave it to the girl. The girl thanked her, left. Bernadette turned to the window, looked at the bicycle, smiled. Life sometimes gave second chances, and sometimes that chance came through broken glass, in the rain, with the silent help of a stranger. And sometimes that chance was a new beginning, simple, peaceful beginning. Elias came out from the back room, came to Bernadette's side. They looked out the window. The sea stretched out in waves. On the horizon, the sun was rising. Are you happy? Elias asked. Bernadette thought. For a long time, then nodded. Yes, I think so. And the two stood there silently. Two ghosts, two wounded souls, but they weren't alone anymore.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next story.